has been there for, it's like one of the oldest hotels up in the mountains. It's called Thieffer,
Hmm.
and it was really nice. It was so peaceful, and just being there around nature. There's a huge lake right outside the hotel, and just being around like-minded people. That they close the hotel down to anybody else except for us competitors. So it was awesome. It was kind of a lot like our international trips that we used to take, when
Hmm.
USAPL was still with the IPF, and how we'd all just hang out in the hotel and then just go do things together and stuff like that, do the touristy stuff. It was a lot like that. And it's something I've
Oh wow,
missed
that would have been, yeah,
for
that would have been
years.
fun. I miss that a lot. I really do.
Yeah.
And so you said it was the first time on Highland Games implements?
Yes. uh, you know, throwing a stone, that's no big deal. It goes back to throwing shot put when you're in high school and stuff like that. Weight over bar was like, a sandbag over bar. It was, except it's
Okay.
one handed. And then it was the caber. I I was petrified. I'm not joking. As much stuff as I've done, and everything that I'm not afraid of, that caber, it scared me to death. So one of the ladies that was actually out of New Mexico, so she's just a state over from me here at home, and she's a little bit older than me, and we just clicked right off the bat. And she walked up to me, and I just told her, I said, Mona, I said, I'm petrified. I said, I
Hmm.
don't. I'm petrified of this implement. I'm afraid of hurting myself. And she goes, pick it up. And I picked it up. She goes, it's not very heavy, is it? I said, no, it's not at all. She goes, it's only 60 pounds. She said, the only thing is that it's 12 foot long. And so
Mm.
you have to learn how to balance it in between your head and your shoulder. Kind of, you're kind of tucking it under your chin at the same time. And then you're reaching all the way down to the ground to pop it up into your hands. And then you're supposed to take off running. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I did not get it flipped. I did not get it flipped, but I did get it out of my hands properly. So there
Oh, there
was
you go.
that. So that was a new adventure all the way around.
Wow. And that's kind of like when people talk about Highland Games, everybody goes straight to the caber toss, don't they? Like that's the one people think of with Highland Games.
Yes, yeah, because it's the big log. Well, it's not a log. It's more like a big, well, a smallish tree. It's about that big around, and
Mm.
you flip it. You're supposed to be able to toss it up in the air, and it hits. You toss it up high enough that it hits on the other end and flips over. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Is it meant to like drop forward flat? Is that how the
It's
scoring goes with
supposed
it? Like,
to.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
They score it based on the face of a clock. Like if you can flip it over and it lands at 12 o'clock, that's like the perfect throw. And then like
Oh, okay. And then
you
so like
have,
11 and 1 and they're
yeah,
doing the hmm.
that's how they score it. So I didn't really get into that part. I just kind of just nodded my head that I understand. So that's what it was fun though. It was fun. I'll definitely try it again. I don't think I'll take it anywhere um, like I have with powerlifting and strongman and all that good stuff. So, but it is definitely fun to play around with.
There's some other Scottish Highland Games events that I quite like. Did you try the sheaf toss?
I did. I did. That's a lot of
That just
skill.
looks l-
That's a
that just looks like shoveling hay or something.
It does. Yeah. 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 Except for you're trying to get it 30 foot in the air. One of the ladies,
Yeah.
one of the ladies that was there got it 31 feet. Got it over 31 feet. It was crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was
How big is the
crazy.
weight on that one?
Um, it's just a few pounds. I mean, it's like
Okay.
uh, a foot squared, a foot cubed, and it's
Hmm.
packed with hay. So I mean, it's just 2 or 3 pounds. It's not much at all. You know, maybe a kilo,
Yeah.
maybe. And it's the pitchfork and the whole action of you know getting it slung up over the top is again it's a skill. I
Yeah.
think I got
Yeah. Right.
14 foot.
And and then the other one that I really love, and I've still got my hammer in the front yard, is the that Scottish hammer throw, and they wear the funny shoes that look like they got knives on the front, so they don't fall over.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
There was a couple
that
that had
that
those
one
there.
is so cool. I love that.
I did that one, and what I learned is I had to, so I'm left eye dominant when I shoot a gun,
Hmm.
and I'm left leg dominant when I kick a ball. Well, apparently I'm left-handed dominant when I throw a hammer, and left shoulder dominant when I pick up the caber. So
There you go.
yeah, so I had to figure that. Once I figured that part out, the skill level got a lot easier.
Yeah, I made one out of just like stiff electrical PVC piping and a few
Hmm.
a few old plates that a friend had, and I just kind of tacked them onto the end, screwed them on, and sort of formed it up. And then I would go down to my local park, and I would just fling this thing as far as I could. And if people were walking their dogs, I'd have to get their dogs out of the way and just look at who's that weird guy throwing shit at the park.
Yeah, yeah.
But
What
man,
is that? Who is doing that?
is that a real sport? I go, I don't know. I always think Highland Games was just made up by drunk strong guys leaving a pub one night.
Bunch of drunk Scottish men. Yeah.
Mm. Which I think is not much different to strongman either, is it? With some of the events that you have there,
No, no, not at all.
like it.
Matter of fact, yeah. Matter of fact, when Stevie Shanks, um, I should know my strongman history better, but he was there, and his dad is like the world record holder in the Denny Stone. Started it way back, in the '60s and stuff like that. So this guy
Hmm.
has been doing Denny Stones his whole life, and got an actual invitation to what they call the Gathering, which is a stone lifting competition in Scotland in August. So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. I think I might try that maybe in a year or so.
Oh, okay. What stones do they have in that in the gathering?
So do you know what a Denny stone is?
Yeah, they're the two stones that
Okay.
you pick up, sort of one in front, one in back. They used to
Yeah.
tie horses up outside a pub or something. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So and they vary in weight, and he has mastered some of the biggest ones, and he's a very slight guy. You would not
Hmm.
expect him to be able to pick up the weight that he does, but he's really good at it. And it's the other stones will be, you know how they have over in the UK, they have.
That's all right.
You call Haley, please. I thought I'd blocked that. Sorry, daughter called.
Getting a phone.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry about that. I thought I had turned that off so it wouldn't happen. Um,
That's all good.
but yeah. So yeah, that's been my past couple of weeks, and so now I'm home recovering and getting ready to start training real hard for the official strongman games in November.
How long have you been doing strongman now?
Strongman for me started. I actually got into strength sports because of strongman back in the early 2000s when Jill Mills was on TV, and
Hmm.
she was from Texas, and like she was my height, my build, and I was like, hey, I told my husband, I was like, I think I want to do this. I want to give it a try. And I was in my late 20s, and We went down to San Antonio and met her, and she was very open, very open. Still, is a
Hmm.
good friend now. And this was before internet really had taken off and everything. And come home, and I told Scotty, I said, I was like, this the availability of the implements is not there.
Hmm.
Back in the early 2000s, you just didn't run into your everyday gym and find an Atlas stone or a sandbag or a yoke or anything like that. So that's when I'd heard about Johnny and his crew on Fort Hood, and that's how I Googled.
Oh,
I
Johnny
literally
Graham.
Googled, yeah, yeah, I literally
Yeah.
Googled powerlifting in Central Texas, and his name come up, and I called him, and the rest is history. Because I've been in powerlifting now for almost 25 years. But back when COVID hit, that shut down all of our international traveling, and
Hmm.
back then that's all I was competing in was internationally. I was competing, with IPF, and then going doing the regional things and things like that, and what NAPF, yeah. And so my gym at the time that I trained at was pretty heavy and strongman, and I was like, you know what, I'll jump in with you guys. I have a decent foundation, and I just got the bug for it. And then of course the USAPL split with IPF, and there went all the international competitions. And
Hmm.
I um, made the choice not to go PA out of my loyalty for Johnny and USAPL, and then so I went strongman instead.
And sounds like you're loving it, having a great time.
I do. I am. I'm loving it. It's the culture is a lot like our powerlifting culture. It's a lot like it's a lot like our equipped powerlifting culture. You remember that? We don't have
I
that quite so much anymore.
Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that. And hanging around um with WA Strongman here where I lived the last few years, you really do feel that it's a different kind of atmosphere and culture around. Um, it's
Yeah.
almost like everyone's a little bit more unhinged than regular powerlifters are now,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We had to be pretty crazy to do some of the stuff that we were doing in that equipment.
right? Yeah. And when you started powerlifting, that's all there was, wasn't it? It was all single ply
Yeah.
powerlifting.
Yep. It
Yep.
was all single block. There was no raw.
And so did you do your first comp in Killeen? Is that how you got going?
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
I did my first local competition in Killeen. I live like 30 miles from Killeen. Didn't know
Hmm.
that it was just in my backyard, and so that, of course, helped keep me focused and keep me motivated and stuff because it was just right down the road. And I was going to college at that point in time in Killeen, and so I really didn't have an excuse. I'd get off work, I'd go train, and then I'd go to class.
Well, there you go. So
Yeah,
let's go through what you did in powerlifting because it's like you did a lot and you were there for a long time. So
yeah.
you started in Killeen. You're doing three lift. Is that correct?
I was doing three lifts. Yes, yeah,
Full
did all
powerlifting.
three. Didn't
Um,
Yeah, didn't
and
really
then
become a
what?
bench specialist until later.
Right. So talk us through the first, oh, probably that first 10 years because there was a lot of female lifters, but it's not like today where it's closer to 50-50. It was like you ladies were a bit
Oh
outnumbered, and
yeah. Oh,
um,
we were way outnumbered. Yeah.
it was very different, wasn't it?
It was very different. Back of course with the equipment, we didn't have raw back then, so you had to have somebody again that knew what they were doing when it come to putting on bench shirts and putting on squat suits and wrapping knees, and you get pretty intimate positions when you're trying to put on somebody's bench shirt, you know. So
Hmm.
you've got to be comfortable within yourself and be your your spouse has to be comfortable with you as well to allow people he
Mm.
doesn't know or she doesn't know to help you get dressed. you know, so you're really in very intimate proximity to one another. It's nothing, there's nothing that comes out of it, but you've got to be really close and personal in somebody's space to be able to do that. So, in a way, it develops a deeper friendship with the people because you are dependent on one another. And I think that's one of the things that's lacking in our current culture in powerlifting is that there's not that deep connection like we had, you know?
Mm.
And as women, we'd be in the back room holding up towels or making a fence so the other woman would feel comfortable getting out of her squat suit and trying to get people with them damn Z locks, on the thighs and everything. You're right
Oh,
there trying to
jeez.
move their fat to try to get it to come down just a tad bit and everything. And bench shirts back, that was before that Totten had invented the back of the shirt that had like, oh gosh, you know what I'm saying. The
Mm.
And it was that all the way around. The bench shirt was neoprene blend all the way around. So yeah, you're reaching inside of people's shirts, grabbing chest and pulling things up and getting them set where they need to be, so it could be just perfect for to find that sweet spot. And so it was, you develop friendships over the years with that. And then so the first 10 years of powerlifting for me was nothing but equip. And
Mm.
of course I was in open and did get to go to did do several national events, so I made friends all over the United States. And this was before social media really started getting big, and you only got to see those people once a year. So it was special. It was special. It was a treat whenever you
Yeah.
went to nationals and things like that because you got to see your friends. That and for a lot of women, in order to find any competition, you had to get outside of your state. And it was what it was. I didn't really get challenged a lot, especially in my weight class, until I got to nationals. And so you had to go if you wanted to be better. If that was the type of person you needed to be, how you needed to be motivated, was you had to go to nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And to get that extra pump.
Who were some of the women in your weight class that you were competing against at a national level?
Oh, um, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I'm blanking on her. Harriet. Oh my gosh, Harriet Hall. Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
She back then, yeah, back then she was. I believe she was already in almost in her 50s already whenever I started competing 20 years ago. And
Hmm.
just the most impressive, she was squatting over 500 pounds and it just was wild. And she was keeping up, she was beating us open women. Liz Willett was one of them, Sue Helen was one of them. And, you get to see these people year after year, because it wasn't something we give up. Most of us either went into refereeing or hosting competitions and things like that. So we didn't give up on the sport. We gave back and still competed, and um, it was what we did. It was our, lack of better words, it was our personality for a good part. I mean, it's still mine. I can't say much. It's still my. Um, I say it's a hobby, but it's really pretty all encompassing.
Yeah, we were talking when I came over to Austin last year. I was talking to a couple of the guys about kind of this whole topic that we're going. Oh yeah, it's a hobby, it's a hobby, it's a hobby. And then we said, what was the last vacation that you took that didn't involve powerlifting? And we're like going, oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe it's not a hobby then. maybe maybe this is just what we do. Um,
yeah, it's what
yeah.
we do, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. It was. I mean, even though even though I'm competing in strongman, and that's where I've actually chose to put my focus this year, I'm not giving up on powerlifting. It'll be I probably won't do free lift anymore. I'll probably just stick with my bench, but I still host competitions. I'm still a referee for USAPL. I
Hmm.
still give back to the sport. So it's not, it's not. I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm still pushing forward and still doing good things with it.
When was the last three lift comp for you?
Let's see. I It was a raw comp in like February of 2020. It was just a raw
Oh,
comp.
okay.
I had just
Yep.
Yeah, I did. I My last full on out, I did Mongolia. I was in Mongolia in 2019, and that was my last
Was that
true three
was that
lift
Masters or Opens?
masters. It was masters.
Master.
Yeah, was it masters or was it open? They kind of all blend together, you know. Um,
Right. Yeah.
but yeah, it was 2019. That was my last fully equipped three lift comp, and then of course, I continue with my bench and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep. I was trying last night when I was thinking about this podcast this morning. I was trying to remember which competition I met you at, and I have no idea. But I just know coming to
Um,
America, I would expect to see you after a while.
it was somewhere between, I think it was 16 or 17 at the Arnold. That was when the
Okay, so
first time we met. Yeah.
right, Arnold. So I met so many North Americans at the Arnold Classics, and I never know which one. 'Cause so it would have been through Randy and Rebecca that I met you. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was hanging with them. Brandy was
Bloody
still
Randy.
competing, and oh my goodness, right? They're still like our best friends. We see them every couple of months and stuff. We live about 4 hours away from
Man.
them, but we got a vacation set up with them here pretty soon. So
Oh, down in Mexico.
we're actually going to the Bahamas this time.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, I feel bad for you.
Oh, I know, right?
That's so
It's
crazy.
horrible. It's
I
horrible.
I think I know most people because of Randy. Uh, most people in North America that I met, I figured I've met through Randy. And then
Yes,
internationally, like when I go to sort of Europe and Asia and whatever, it's because I was there by myself and had to make friends. Um, I just made the right friend when I first came to America with Randy. In that, as soon as you meet Randy, you meet a million other people.
you
He's the
do.
greatest person I've ever met for
He
making new
really,
friends
he
on the
really
fly.
is. Yeah, he really is, and everybody loves him. I mean, he's another one of those that was a pillar of the sport for so long. And you needed a good lift off person, you needed a good back spot. He was there. He helped out the Sam Houston kids, the Sam Houston college
Yep.
kids, and he was Uncle Randy to lots of people, and lots of people still, remember. And he was a pretty good power lifter himself. Let's not, he was a pretty good. I think he got like 750 on his squat or something like that, and he was a pretty good bencher.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
We, uh,
Yep.
yeah, we benched. I think his last bench competition. I think that was it was like 2018 in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I remember he did really well in at World Masters in the Czech Republic one year. I think he medaled there.
Oh yes, yes, yes. We didn't go on that trip. That was 19 or yeah, yeah. He did. Him and Rebecca did too. Rebecca got best overall lifter on that one. I remember that.
I was going to say, is that the one that she won? Yeah.
It was one, and I want to say it was 2019-ish, uh, because I chose to go to Mongolia. and do the 3 lift comp instead of going there to Estonia.
Mm. Yep. Yep. Oh man. Okay. So yeah. So the Arnold's you doing bench only, and was that the and that was equipped bench only, right? I'm still
Yeah,
just going back to
yeah,
that.
and I did it all the way up until last year. Oh, not last year, not this year, 2020, 2025. I had my knee replaced back in January. So my last equipped bench was 2024 at the Arnold. Oh, no, it wasn't. I competed in England in October 2024.
Oh, there you go. So what was your? Let's talk about numbers. What was your best bench in competition?
My best bench for was in Costa Rica, and that was 2018. It was 434, I believe, or no, 430, whatever four the lower number is for the for kilos. What was that?
So I'm trying to do
Oh,
this.
it
So
was
is that
197
two
point.
ten?
It, yeah, something somewhere close to that. Yeah, it was either 210 or 212. Yeah,
Man, wow.
and
Body
yeah, that
what body weight was that at?
I was a super heavy. I was like
That was in the
265.
supers.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I
Man,
was
that's a
that.
massive
I was
bench.
at pretty much at my heaviest. Yeah, yeah,
That's a massive bench.
yeah. It and I used a lot of Jen Thompson's techniques, the
Mm-hmm.
dynamic holds and things like that to get up there. And I learned how to use the bench chart. That was something that was extremely important. I could put, let's see, about 2 years ago, my raw bench. This was before my weight loss because I've lost. It's almost 3 years now. I lost 80 pounds about going on 3 years, and I was at a 315 raw bench back then,
Mm.
and so statistically, I was getting about 150 pounds out of my single ply bench shirt.
Wow, 150 pounds. I know some guys that were getting 150 kilos out of a bench shed at one point,
Wow.
and it was just that learning the shirt was. I think that was the hardest part of benching wasn't actually getting strong enough to lift in it. Was understanding how a shirt works and
Oh
where it was
yeah.
going to load up and how you pull and find those grooves. Um,
Oh,
I remember
absolutely.
doing
And
raw
yeah,
training sessions with some of the top guys, and I would outbench most of those guys raw. It used to be so frustrating, and then they had me by 20 to 50 pounds as soon as we put shirts on, and it was just because they were better
yeah,
with a shirt. And that was the
yeah.
I thought that was the fun bit of equipped powerlifting.
And that's why I tell people that you can't have there's one's not better than the other. Equipped is completely different than an equipped lift is
Mm.
different than a raw lift. And you can't convince me otherwise because if you don't know how to use the equipment, you're not getting, you're not getting your maximum potential out of that equipment. And it's a completely different lift. The dynamics
Oh
are
yeah,
different, the placement is different, uh, your speed is different. Everything about lifting equipped is different than what it is for raw. And so people will try to argue it with me, and I'm like, there's no argument. I've done both. They're two totally different lifts.
I yeah, I always ask a raw bench presser when the last time was they burst a blood vessel in their eye from bench pressing, and then I'll tell them, yeah, they're very, very, very different because I used to do that
Yeah.
all the time when I put a shirt on. You're trying to get that opener to
Yep.
touch, and you just bang, bang. Felt like your
Oh
head's
yeah,
going
I
to
get
pop
the
like a pimple.
stippling. Yeah, the stippling,
Yep.
the busted blood vessels all through the face, down my chest. Yeah. People are like, well, why? And then, of course, let's not even talk about the marks on the backs of your arms and things.
Yeah, just you can never describe them accurately to people and have them actually think that you're a normal person after that. It's always you're into
Right,
some
right.
weird BDSM or
Absolutely.
something, and
That is so true.
oh
So
dear.
true.
Oh man, so yeah, those Arnold Classic is the Arnold bench only. I really miss those. They were good fun, really good fun. Um,
She
in the
was.
bench only, I'm trying to remember the other women because we were always warming up when you were lifting, so we saw very little of what you girls did. So, but it was
Right.
you and Benika, Jen Thompson.
Hmm.
Who else was there?
Hmm. No, Rebecca. Tammy
Oh, of
Walker.
course, yep.
Yeah, Tammy
Oh, yep.
Walker. She was real good.
She was strong,
She decided.
very strong.
Yes, yes. I went and stayed with her just the other day. I did raw. Excuse me, not raw. Uh, U.S. Why am I blanking on my words now? United States Strongman Nationals was in just right outside of Charlotte, and so her living in Durham, I went and stayed a few days with her, and she took me down to Concord and stayed with me and was my cheering section for me for my
Oh,
strongman comp down
nice.
there. And yeah, so she stepped away a few years ago, right around 2021 as well, and she was, I mean, she was knocking on 300 raw herself, and just really strong. And
Mm,
she was at the, what was the old weight class? 84, 80, was it, or 82 5? Yeah, she was like an 82 5 uh, kilo.
right.
You know,
Yep.
she was
Yep.
in the lower weight class.
Yeah, I want to ask you sort of that and bearing in mind, I don't want to be controversial just for the sake of it, but that whole USAPL split, and because of course in Australia we've had two splits as well, and just the
Hmm.
fallout from it. Um, more than access to competitions and travel or whatever. What's been the biggest difference in your sort of your training life, like before the split and then after the split? How's it affected you?
It's heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. It's not that I lost friends, but it's like we do this for because we enjoy the training and everything. But we do the competitions and stuff because we enjoy getting to see our friends. And
Mm,
a lot of my friends, when they went PA, they we can't they can't come over and um, associate with us. Like, I can't ask them to come be referees. I can't ask them to come spot and load. I can't, so that was when we would socialize and when we'd get together because we were all busy doing something powerlifting related. And so
yep.
as I started becoming a meat promoter, I'd ask my friends, come on, we all come and help. And then of course we'd go out to eat afterwards and have a great time and just be, and I miss that. I miss my Gregory Johnson and my Marty Marr, and I miss
Mm.
my my Jen Crokin. She's still USAPL, but she moved to Michigan on me. So,
That's rude.
but yeah, I know, right? But it was like your friends started going to another school.
Yeah.
you know. And so that, for me personally, that's what it was. Training wise, I live in a small rural town, so I'd have to go seek out training. I'd have to go on to Fort Hood or something, or I'd have to ask. I coached high school for about 8 years, and then so I technically kind of raised my own power lifters, and I'd actually ask a couple of the girls to come over and help me out whenever I would train and things like that. Monica Sabatka, she lives just down the road. She'd come and help me train some. So it was just a matter of, it wasn't really the split that caused it. It was more of, living out in the country. I'm
Yeah.
sure y'all probably
Yeah.
have the same thing out there in Australia.
Yeah. I Although for me, I lived in the country before the split, and then when I came to Perth, then big city, it all kind of changed. I really miss training as a powerlifter back in the country because because I
Yeah.
didn't have the support. I actually liked the lack of support. It was a bit more I don't know, it felt like more authentic, and you're doing something really hard and gritty, and Um, Doing something hard just for the sake of doing something hard always appealed to me. So the idea of learning how to put on single play equipment through summer by myself, so then I could get on a 30-hour plane ride to come to Columbus to bench press with you guys. That was really attractive
Yeah,
to me.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and when I say those sort of things out loud, you go, "Why was that attractive? Why? What's wrong with you?" But then it was because I'd meet people like you and Randy and Rebecca, and you guys were all
Yeah,
just as silly to be doing the same silly thing. And we're like, well, let's be silly together.
exactly. A few
Yeah.
years, my husband, bless his soul, he's kind of glad that I have decided to give powerlifting a break for a little while because he was always the one putting on my bench shirt. And, it's so tough on your fingertips and on your knuckles and everything else. And we'd get him, I've gotten him gloves before. Rebecca, we had a taped up stick that you'd roll into there and pull on it. But yeah, he was a little happy that I decided to not. But I still pull out the squat suit every once in a while for deadlift when they're in stuff for strongman. So it's not
Yeah.
totally gone.
Yeah, when you're talking about how intimate it is putting on equipment and getting to know, uh, and that's how we often got to know people was having somebody help with the equipment that I didn't know. I remember my first nationals, or yeah, it was my first nationals, which was my second competition. I got a little bit of help from a guy. He's looking at my bench press shirt and goes, "Oh, here, I'll just fix that up for you." And before I know it, he's dropped down on two knees in front of me, and his hands have gone up the front of my legs to grab my shirt to pull it down. And I'm just going, "Whoa, what are you doing? What are you?" And he's going, "Oh no, no, this is the easiest way to do it." And I'm like, going, "Can you explain some of this stuff first?" Because
It's funny because equipped powerlifters, we don't think anything about it. Hey, I want to pull your shirt down. I'm just going to reach up your singlet right here and try not to get your underwear and pull it down so we can get your belt on you properly. Oh my gosh, yes, yes. And
oh
then I would always tell women, please don't wear a regular bra because if I'm going to be messing with your bench shirt, I need you to be wearing a sports bra that I can pull on that I'm not going to
yeah,
snap your strap. See, normal people
yeah,
don't understand those things. They don't understand as that kind of stuff. So yeah, yeah,
yeah.
we
I've
got
got
pretty intimate.
you get close quickly. I remember
Yes, you do.
the female lifters, a couple of the female lifters that I had here in Perth, uh, slightly bigger girls and a lot out the
Mm-hmm.
front, and so I'd always have to sort of come around behind them and grab one, and always get like a really big reinforced sports bra and grabbing one strap, and you kind of pulling up and back to lever everything into
Mm-hmm.
position. And I just thought, man, that can't be comfortable at all.
It really wasn't. It really was not. Especially with that bench shirt kind of crumpled right there across the chest, and you were kind of having to
Yeah.
pull. You was having to pull it down anyways. It literally felt like a knife was cutting across everything.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It was.
then you had us guys when we get to our third attempt, we're trying to pull it really down low and um, trying to create some cleavage, and that used to hurt. And I was just in
Yes,
saying that I remembered.
yes,
Did you ever see that Hungarian guy? I think Laszlo or something was his name. He used to, or he, almost every time he would open on a world record and bomb. But one time he came out and he'd pull his bench press shirt so low that you could see both of his nipples.
yes,
And he's walked out onto
yep,
the platform like that. I think we were in the Czech Republic, and nobody stopped him. The TC didn't stop him. The chief referee didn't stop him. It was Dan Gaudreau over on the scorers table, on the jury table. He's just got up and you can probably imagine it. You know how Dan walks, he's just sort of
yes,
like big bear walk across, and he just
yeah,
puts his hand out and goes, "No, no." But that was the first time I saw like actual high beaming out the front of the shirt. I was like, that was
yep,
weird.
yep. Yeah, that was. I can remember, women would just be spilling out the top, and you're like, "Oh God, I hope it holds. I hope it holds."
Just oh dear, dear. I used to find the squat suit for me was the worst because I had really big legs and I had kind of chubby legs, and
Yeah,
trying to get
yeah.
you get it all the way on and you feel, and we'd use the suit slippers to get it up there and it's all good. You're like, all right, this is fine. Try to take it off afterwards though, because you've made this
Oh,
little reverse muffin top with the squat suit.
yep,
That was the worst pain I
yep,
ever used to feel.
yep. That's when they would Z lock. Those Z locks would dig into, excuse me, that inner thigh,
Mm.
and you had to be very patient. I learned you had to be very, very patient because you had to just barely creep that skin. You could get everything pulled down, and then you would have to kind of creep that seam down a little bit at a time. You had to be very patient because if not, you were ripping skin. I've seen, and you have too. You've seen where people are just like, screw it, cut it off of me. I don't care
Mm.
that it just cost me $300.
My favorite one I remember seeing was one person. They were lying on the ground, holding onto a power rack above their head, and their coach had their suit, and they were fully stretched out, and they're just reefing on it. I'm like, oh, that's not how you do that. Don't do
No,
that. That's
no, no,
you're not
no,
going to
no,
have
no,
any
no.
skin left doing that.
Yeah.
But did I stop them? No. Go for it. We just laughed.
I was at a competition in Utah. It was a strongman competition, and of course in strongman, we can wear deadlift suits and all that good stuff. So of course, the equipped powerlifter comes out in me. I'm walking in the back. I'm working the comp, and I'm walking in the back, and this guy is struggling to get his deadlift suit on. And I'm like, okay, I don't do very much introductions. I'm just like, you want some help with that suit? And they're like, oh no, not really. And I'm like, just move, just move. I said, just do what I say, and just let me get in here and get it done. The poor guy was blushing, one, and he was from Sweden. He was from Sweden. It was so cute. And then he starts getting into it. I've got him all worked up around the thighs and everything, and I'm behind him. You know how you grab a hold of both the straps and you roll everything down
Hmm.
and you pick them up in the back, and you got to kind of move your hips back and forth. And there's a video out there of him enjoying moving his hips back and forth just a little too much. It was hilarious. And they were like, well, how do you know how to do that? And I'm like, 25 years of equipped powerlifting. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
put a suit
done
on
that a few
in
times.
no time flat. It's second nature.
Oh man, that. So this story is for Ricky Flanders, who was a because I know she listens and she knows that I know. Um, but I'll remind she was I can't remember what weight class she was in, but she was tiny. She was really little, and she used to wear a super tight deadlift suit. And my only responsibility when she lifted at nationals was to come out after benching to help Ricky get into her deadlift suit. And I think there was about 100 maybe 110 kilo difference between the two of us. Like
Oh wow.
it was really funny.
Yeah.
It was funny to watch. And I'd literally pick her up by the straps, hold her here in front of my face, and just jiggle her. Just bounce her up and down for about a minute, and she'd just keep on dropping down into the suit. Straps on, away we go. All good. So there was no fight. It
There
was
you
just
go.
me jiggling her like a baby in a jumper.
Yep. Yep. People,
So
it's
there you
just
go, Ricky.
those are good
There's your Ricky
times.
story for this podcast.
Yeah, those are
Yeah, they were
those are
fun.
good times.
So much
and
fun.
and people are, yeah, and people just other normal people just don't understand. They don't understand. They just don't understand.
Yeah, I think even raw powerlifters lifting to this would be
Oh
just shaking their
God.
head going, you guys are messed up. Why would you do that?
And I would really love to see raw power lifters just try it. Just try it. Hell, you
Hmm.
may like it, and I'd love to see that portion of powerlifting grow some more. Mike Haffenbrack, he's the Sam Houston coach, and he has been lifting forever and a day with USAPL, and he really promotes equipped lifting on his collegiate team.
Yeah.
He's still list equipped, and he's even on the equipped committee, and it just I wish that the raw powerlifter side of it would just give it a shot. You don't even have to wear a really tight suit, because even just a moderately tight suit would give you more of a benefit than what you think.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole nother way. It's a whole new way to learn how to lift, and you're lifting past your personal capacity, and then it gets a little addicting when you you know
It does, right?
it's when you're squatting 500 pounds for me, like 500 pounds and stuff. When my raw squat is only 400, and big numbers, putting up bigger numbers,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah.
At our we at our age group nationals this year in Australia, we also put an equipped division in which it wasn't hugely popular, but we because there's a few guys that have stayed single player the whole time. They've never deviated. So it's great to see them going. But there was quite a few new lifters that they were doing it the way we did it when we first started. One of the girls just wore knee wraps. First comp, just put knee
Hmm.
wraps on, and that was it. And then everything else was raw. And so that technically that's lifting equipped. And just from putting the a tight set of 2 meter knee wraps on, you squat a bit more. You're like, oh, this is exciting. And
Yep.
then so out comes the bench shirt, and it's a loose bench shirt. You put maybe an extra 10 to 15 kilos on your bench, and they were like,
Yep.
oh, this is fun. This is okay. I get why you do this now. And then go, just wait until you want to get a tighter shirt, and then you start going, oh, how can I customize my shirt? How can how can I dial it in? If I get a bigger back or tighter sleeves, what's going to happen then? And so each time when you're going into train, it's a new puzzle to solve. It's not like with raw where you solve the puzzle once and then it's solved.
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lifting and equipment, if I gained a couple of kilos, everything changed. If I lost a couple of kilos, everything changed. um, Sometimes
Yes.
Pete and Matt would send me the exact same shirt from Titan that they'd sent me 6 months ago, and I'd put it on, and it would feel different.
Yeah,
And so
because
then we had
over
to learn
just
that shirt again. It was
yeah.
just slightly different, and so you'd feel it, and so you got to
Hmm.
solve that new puzzle.
Yep. I think that was what was interesting about eclipse lifting. You know,
Yeah,
it was it was it was a challenge. Every time you competed in it, it was a challenge. And I think the first time, I mean, my gosh, the second time I ever bombed in a meet was at the Arnold. And yeah, how humiliating, right? Um,
hey, that
I
you
had
join
somebody,
a that's me, Jeff Snyder, Joe Capolino. Um, that's the
right,
group of
right.
people that bombed at the Arnold. It's a pretty good group to be in. Like, we've all done it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That is not wrong at all. Um, and I think it was, hell, it might have been you. Now that I think about it, um, because I can remember someone telling me, the it's not about going out there and getting all three lifts. It's about going out there and at least getting one, because we're
Yeah,
equipped. We're
yeah.
not expected. It's not expected to go get all three lifts because of the equipment. And I remember it was one of you guys. It was you. Probably wasn't Jeff, but um, maybe it was Jonah. It could have been Jonah. It was you or Jonah, someone like that.
Sounds like something Jonah and I would say. If it was from Jeff, it just would have been a lot
Yeah,
of swearing and how you needed to drink more Captain Morgan.
absolutely. And just like, get your shit together. Yep, 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 yep.
Oh, yeah, I think, and then with equipment as well, I used to tell people would complain about not getting three white lights on something, and I go, you only need two.
Yep, you only need two.
Um, and then
Yep.
what's the other one that's really big now? Oh, people going 9 for 9 in raw lifting. Everyone's about going 9 for 9, and I go, I get that. Like, you can do that raw, and I'm going, Oleg won about 5 world championships going 4 for 9 in equipment. You can do it.
Hmm.
Like, you just need to be good at. Well, I think you just need to be good at putting an error out of your mind really quickly. So like you go out,
Oh
you get
yeah,
broken. That
absolutely.
used to happen a lot.
Yeah, 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 for real.
Yeah.
I was my depth on squat was always my Achilles heel, and but I have a different view on the 9 for 9. The to me a 9 for 9 needs to that's good for your first couple of meets because you don't
Yeah.
know quite yet what you're capable of. Um, Once you start going 9 for 9 as a more experienced lifter, you're leaving something on the platform. You're leaving things on the platform that you shouldn't be. You didn't go out quite like you should have.
Yep.
You didn't make any new PRs. You didn't, and maybe you did, but that's just my mentality behind it. Is there needs to be, you need to be able to push yourself. That third attempt should be something you've never tried before, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I like the idea of. I always love the idea of using the crowd and the atmosphere to get a couple of extra kilos that I
Hmm.
couldn't get on my home platform because the energy's just not there.
Absolutely.
A few years
Yeah,
back,
and we're
so
not
leading
talking.
into the yeah, go on.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, and nothing of this only jumping 2.5 or 5 kilos.
Oh
No,
gosh, that
you,
annoys
you,
me.
it does me too. It's like, no, that's nothing. That's nothing. Come on. Slap some weight on the bar. Challenge yourself.
Live a
Stop
little.
leaving it on the platform. Yeah, this is where you're
Mm,
supposed to put it at. You know, this is where the excitement and everything is. You don't want a gym PR. People don't want to, you don't walk around talking about, oh yeah, in the gym I did XYZ. But it's like, no, it's what did you do on the platform?
yep. I love telling people what I got in the gym, but I always tell them well after I've told them my platform maxes. So that if someone
Yeah,
asks me how
yeah.
much should I bench, I'll tell them 340 because that was done in competition. Did that up in Sweden in front of international referees. Solid lift. I lifted a whole lot more than that in training, but I just don't tell people what those numbers were most of the time because to me they don't really count because anyone can do it. Well, not anyone. It's easy to do it in training. It's much harder to fly halfway around the world and do it. So that was
Yes, it
always my
is.
standard.
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, going back to that 9 for 9 thing. If you're going 9 for 9, I expect that you hit 4 PRs. So you PR'd each lift and you PR'd your total and you won. Uh,
Yes.
Especially if you're an experienced lifter. If you say, oh well, I went 9 for 9, but I didn't win. I'm going, did you try to win?
Right.
Like if you're not going there to try and win, like what are you doing? Or and I know people probably get grumpy at me for that. And then the other one is if you went 9 for 9 and you didn't get PRs, why did you and you didn't win? Why did you even turn up? Like I don't get that. Like
Right. Why'd
the
you even waste your
meat
money?
meats are pretty expensive. Just keep your money and you know train for another 6 months. I don't know. Like
For
there's
real.
other ways you can be involved on meet day. You can spot and load. You can referee. You can be a scorer. You can still be involved in the competition. But I don't know. That's my
Absolutely.
probably our really competitive nature coming through. That I always thought it was about
Yes.
being the strongest first, and then everything after that.
Absolutely. I agree
Yeah.
completely.
The bombing at the Arnolds. I know Jeff Snyder did that plenty. He was good at that. But we got emboldened. We got emboldened by I don't want to say his name because he's a piece of crap. Doesn't deserve to have his name spoken. But he was from Alaska. You probably pick up who he was, and he was involved on the Arnold's
Hmm.
organizing committee for a couple of years. I flew home to Australia. I'd done 3 comps in 3 days, and then he made some crack
Oh wow.
about the difference between my raw bench and my equip bench. And I go, well, in the raw comp, I sandbagged it all weekend because I was trying to stay fresh for Sunday, and then Sunday I let the hammer fly. We went hard at it. And he said, there was a lot of red on the board. And I said, no, it's going to happen in a single plate comp. That happens. And his insult, and he put this on Facebook, he goes, well, you guys are all just a bunch of home run hitters. And we thought, why do you think that's an insult? We kind of like that. And then Jeff Snyder's
Yeah,
comment was, nobody goes to a safe based hit. Nobody wants to see a safe base hit competition at the All Star weekend. We go to see dingers. And so in the following years,
yeah.
we all went crazier. We started opening even heavier because we're going, one lift. It's one lift that counts. And so we would just try and everything we did was around just making one lift.
I remember that. I remember that. I was there for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Because
was
I
wacky.
actually, I competed before y'all earlier that day.
Yeah.
Or actually, I competed in the front before y'all. So yeah, I was there for quite a bit of that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
It become a a not a running joke, but it become commentary. Good commentary back in the warm up room and stuff like that. Well, is Jeff going to get his opener today, or is Joe going to get at least one, and things like that. So it was always in good fun, of course, and
Yeah.
you know those those things are those things are the things that are missed.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, because
we used to
I remember that. I
with
remember
me,
the
Jonah, and
bench match.
yeah, with me, Jonah, and Jeff, and I'll put Blaine Sumner in there for a while as well, and Brady Stewart.
Hmm.
I think we were all pretty tough mentally because nobody gave us a harder time than we did. Like amongst our friends, we would trash each other, run each other down, try and get in each other's
Oh
heads in the
yeah,
warm up room. We would warm up together and try and psych each other out. You're like, hey, Jeff, what are you opening on, man? Oh, cool. Can you touch that?
yeah.
How many times have you touched it? And just stuff
Y'all
like that. It
were
was
a
fun.
different y'all were a different breed, and it was just so much fun watching you guys all back there. It just razzing each other and getting up there on the platforms, and uh, you know, Adam, Adam. He just
Oh, Mamola.
starts with M. Momola, yeah, Adam Momola, and he was in that mix with you guys, and y'all were the best. Y'all were the best of the best.
We certainly had a good time doing it. That was for sure. That was for sure. And it's only looking back, so 10 years on, and coming back to IPF bench worlds as a coach and a referee and seeing the numbers in the supers now, and the top numbers are still really great. That kid
Hmm.
from Japan, he's awesome. And then you got that Canadian fella as well, is got a big bench. But they're not really, if you compare it to what we were doing 10 years ago. I think we were in just this golden period for single ply benching, because there was a bunch of guys on any given day could, most of the top 10 could bench 800.
Yes,
Most of the top
yes,
five had reasonable cracks at 400 kilos as well. um, it was just
that's
nuts. It was so competitive there for a while.
it was. It really was. Y'all were fun to watch too.
And I think that, we kind of, I know I did. I really liked that entertainment side of thing. I think the Arnolds really brought that out of me. I don't know, I liked being watched. It was fun. Had the, because we started having Gino after a while. They're doing the announcing and flashing lights, and what is it, like 250,000 people would filter past over the weekend, and like, oh, they're here to see me. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
put on a show for them. People,
Yeah, and then
obviously not
and
there to
then
see me,
Arnold.
but yeah.
Well, no, but then Arnold would actually make an appearance. He would get up there on the stage with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And did you ever get a chance for him to come? Were you ever on stage when he came through
Refereeing one time. Um,
refereeing?
yeah, every time he came through, I was always there. One time I got caught out in the warm up area, and then his Secret Service wouldn't let me leave the warm up area, which sucked. So I'm hearing Arnold on the platform, but I'm a room away, not seeing anything. One year I got caught
Yeah,
out. Uh, I was commentating the live stream, so I wasn't around there. But one year I was refereeing, and he stood nearby and watched a couple of lifts and did his thing. It was just so cool. He's got such a presence when he walks in a room. It's crazy.
hmm, yeah. I just, I've been fortunate enough to be in the area. I wasn't, I
Mm,
haven't ever got to, I wasn't ever lifting when, he would come up there on the platform or anything like that. But I was in the area. So it was always neat that he always made a point to come through. And he still does. I mean, I was there last year. I was there this year, but I was just there helping. And
mm-hmm.
always makes a point to go to each event and make an appearance and talk with folks and shake hands and all that good stuff with some of the athletes and things.
Yeah, I was always I was a little bit disappointed the first time when I realized I think he's lied about his stats most of his life because he is not 6'4", is he?
No, he's not. No, unless he
Definitely
has
not.
shrunk a significant amount. Yeah, he's definitely
Yeah,
not 6'4". No.
yeah, that was sad when I realized that I was quite a bit taller than him. It wasn't just a little bit; it was quite a bit. And that comb over that he's got going on now, his hairstylist is a magician.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. I mean, my gosh, the man is in his 70s. He in his
Yeah,
70s
got to
now?
be. Yeah, still super fit, still
Yeah.
looks jacked. Saw him
Yes.
working out at Gold's Gym Venice in a video the other week. And he still looks good. He can still lift.
Yeah. We hope to we hope to emulate that when we're that age.
Yeah, I hope to emulate Adam Mamola's dad, Reggie. I think he is trying to qualify as an M4 next year for bench worlds.
Oh, that is awesome. He's a really cool guy
Right?
too. Yeah.
Love that
Yeah.
guy.
He was
Like,
always, yeah, super, super supportive of everything Adam's done and just has enjoyed every bit of Adam's competitions throughout the years and stuff like that. So it's always fun watching him rooting on Adam.
oh, it is, isn't it? I, that's one of the things that I still love, like the because it's expensive to travel and it's a big sacrifice. And so the fact that Adam and his dad would come to so many meets together and including the internationals, I just think as a father that's bloody awesome. Like that's what if I had somebody if I had a child that was that good in sports, I'd want to do the same. I just think it's wonderful what he's done.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So coming back to modern times and strongman, obviously you just come off this great trip to Norway, and you've learned all
Hmm.
these new skills, and you can toss a caber and all that. Um, what's your next 6 to 12 months in strongman looking like for you?
So I have official Strongman Games, um, World Comp in the weekend before. Um, I say weekend before Thanksgiving. I have to remember that y'all we all don't share the same holidays. The fourth weekend, third weekend of November, and
Right.
that is, and of course I compete in the 50 plus class, and if there's a lady, her name is Claire Mahler, and she's out of Wales, and holy mother of pearl, she just did Britain's strongest, and she competed with all those open women and still came in fifth. I mean, she's 52 years old and still rocking, rocking it hard, and still being able to compete with the, you know, like Lucy Underdown and uh, Donna Moore and Andrea Thompson, all of those big, um, much younger, strong women, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
amazing to watch her. So that has when I competed last year at OSG Worlds. It's a big deal to place top 10.
Yep.
You've got 2 days worth of competition, and then the third day, you have to make top 10 to make the third day. And I just, I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself, and because there was several of the skills I wasn't just the best at, and still learning the skills. It's a little bit more difficult the older you get. The body doesn't move
Mm-hmm.
quite as well as you want it to, and the numbers are heavy. There's some big numbers. I mean, the car yoke last year was 600 pounds for a 50-year-old woman.
Whoa. What
Yeah,
distance was that?
I got it 20. It was for 50 foot. I got it for 25 or 28, something like that. Um, two or three of the other ladies got it all the way across. There was like
Wow.
18 of us, I think. Yeah, and the log the log was 150 or 155, and then the trump log was 185. And several of the ladies are still getting a 185-pound log over their head at 51, 52, 53. So the competition
Damn.
is still well there. There's um, Melanie Poe is out of Australia. I want to say I think she got the car yoke all the way across, and then, or is it Allison? Allison Dan. One of them's from New Zealand, one of them's from Australia. Allison Dan, also, she, Allison, I
Hmm.
think she placed third. And, I just looked at those ladies and I was like, just the fact that I'm out here with you guys and half-ass holding my own. I wasn't, I placed ninth,
Hmm.
and huge, that was a huge win for me, in my opinion, and it gave me the motivation. I felt that motivation again. I had lost quite a bit of motivation as far as like with powerlifting because, you know, for the lack of better words, been there, done that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
Strongman posed a new challenge and a new, there's women here in Texas that are in my age group that give me a challenge. And that's, that's the way we make ourselves better. And that's, we're competitive. We're competitive in that way. And placing ninth last year just kind of really just lit a fire under me. I kind of dampened that fire because right after the comp, I went and had my knee replaced. But that was the best thing I'd ever done. Within 3 months, 3 months, I was already back in the gym, acting like I hadn't even stopped. So I competed at the end of June. Took a 450 yoke, 50 feet in 35 seconds. It wasn't fast enough. It wasn't it's my fastest because I'm much faster than that. Um, but 6 months after that knee replacement, I was very, very happy with that. And things are just getting better and stronger every day. And just working on my weaknesses. I can be totally honest. Your bench does not cross over to your overhead.
I've
Absolutely
said that for.
not.
I
No,
used
your
to love
overhead
training. I
really.
think overhead for bench helps, but bench for overhead doesn't seem
Yes,
to help.
no, it does not at all. And a lot of it is the lack of mobility because we've benched
Hmm.
heavy for so many years. Our lats are so tight, our pecs are so tight. Getting our hands above our head vertically um, is tough. It's tough for us.
Oh yeah, that's a
And
stretch.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, so especially with log, there's not much wiggle room with log. You've got to have it in the right place. And so it's the skills. It's the learning of the skills, learning that I don't have just stagnant power, that I've got to make my power move,
Hmm.
and I've got to learn to be explosive. And so that's the kind of things that I'm working on. So, and even at my age, it's exciting and it's a new challenge, and um, not something I want to give up on.
How important is it to you, especially in this kind of stage of life? This I don't know. It's like it's weird being this age, isn't it? I don't know what to do with myself
It
a
is,
lot of the time. But
yeah.
how important is challenge for you now? Like, can still remembering that I need to be challenged.
Well, I think that if we don't challenge ourselves, we become lazy. And it's very easy to do because it's very socially acceptable just to be the old lady in the rocking chair and baking cookies for our grandkids, and just let my body deteriorate because that's what's acceptable. That's what's acceptable by the medical professionals. It's what's acceptable by the younger generations, and it's we lose once our as a woman, once your kids are grown and gone, and our kids have been gone now for about 7 years, and you have to find something that's going to keep you motivated. Um, because if you don't, you're going to lose yourself. And that's why research and shows that it's very important for men and women in their older age to have friendships, to have community. It helps them live longer. And, the relationship between my husband and I, we're coming up on almost 30 years of marriage. You have the biggest things, the biggest and most important things in your life have moved on without you.
Mm.
Your children
Yeah.
are gone. They've moved on. They've moved on without, they don't need you no more. And so as men and women, we struggle with not feeling that, um, you know, we struggle with people not needing us like they did before. If something was wrong, they always come to mom and dad. And
Yeah.
now that they're adults, they're handling the stuff on their own. And then you've kind of become the old hand at work. Luckily, I was very fortunate that I did 30 years with the with the state government, and I was able to retire. So I retired last year, and um, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. You have to keep up your own relevancy.
Mm.
You've got to be relevant in your own eyes, and I think that's why we need the challenge.
You've got to be relevant in your own life. I think that's,
Yeah.
yeah. I think you make a really great point about kids because I think if you ask, I don't know, most people we know, if you said, what's the greatest thing you've ever done? And you say, being a parent, easily.
Yeah.
Most important thing, greatest thing I've ever done is being a father. And a lot of that attachment is because I've been completely necessary for a certain period of my daughter's lives. Now they're getting to their late teens. I'm way less necessary. They're strong, independent young women. That's the way we've raised them, and we're really proud that they're like that.
Hmm.
But it just means that we're not as functional, I guess. We're not, you don't have to do so much, and you're sort of now more spectator and cheering them on. And if all of my relevance for the last 20 years has been about my kids, then how am I relevant to myself once they've got it? Like, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that they're okay. And once they go, yeah, Dad, I've got this. I'm okay. What do I do next? And I think
Exactly.
you
I
make a
mean,
really
we
good
still
point there.
have we still have 30 more years, give or take. We still have 30 more years to live. What are you going to do with that 30 years? Are you going
Mm-hmm.
to sit on the couch and just wither away? I am not. I'm going to be the fireball I was 20 years ago, and it's going to be even worse now. Because you know, now you're to the age where, you don't have to worry about reputation anymore. You don't have to worry about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing, what we say here in the States and things like that. You just, it's freeing. You find your freedom because you find your voice that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you find your voice, and um, you don't have to be that people pleaser anymore. You don't have to be the one that's always picking up after everybody or taking care of everybody. But when that has been your personality for 20 years, you have to take a look at yourself and go, I don't know what, you
Mm.
have to say, I've got to do this for me. And my spouse, in my relationship, because we get to our kids leaving the house, and you look across the table or look across the bed, and you're like, who's that person? Who's that man over there? Who's that lady over
Mm-hmm.
there? And I believe my husband and I have done a very good job of one of the first things that we did as soon as the youngest one left was we started traveling, not just for powerlifting, believe it or not. but we started traveling together. That was a big common thing that we had, and we've been all over the place. We've been all over the world, and Randy and Rebecca has become part of that as well, and
Hmm.
developing relationships with our friends whose kids have left the house, and um, my husband has his thing, I have my thing, which is the weightlifting and stuff, and because that's I have to have everybody has to have something for themselves. You have to have your
Yeah,
own
I
identity,
agree.
and yeah, your identity cannot be wrapped up in your children. It cannot be wrapped up in your job. It cannot be wrapped up in your spouse. You have to have your own identity. So I chose to wrap mine up in lifting heavy things and putting them back down.
There you go.
Yeah,
When you say that, I don't know, a bit cheeky. I immediately thought of Donovan Thompson because his Instagram
yeah,
handle when you said you shouldn't be all wrapped
yeah.
up in your spouse and go, he's literally on Instagram as Jennifer Thompson's husband. His whole identity is
Yeah.
about his wife being so strong. I'm like, that's funny.
Uh, and they've made a good uh, deal out of that. He recently retired himself. He's so they're and both their boys are up and out of the house and off to college and doing their own things, and so they're experiencing the empty nest as well, and it's they're still just as wonderful can be. Jen's still uh, lifting heavy, and she
Hmm.
just competed at Raw Nats and still, doing prime time in Raw Nationals, and still, she and I are. She's got a birthday coming up here in a couple months. I think she's fixing to be 52, and she's just
Yeah,
a
that's
few
right.
months older than me, and it's she's the top of the top. You can't blame him for his Instagram handle being Jen Thompson's husband. And he's no slouch
I
himself.
think
He's no slouch lifter
I think it's so
himself.
it's
So
so it's so ironic that Donovan does that because he's so well accomplished as a lifter, and I see that you guys just put him in the Hall of Fame, which is amazing. He definitely
yes,
well deserved.
yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he's I think he's the greatest coach I've ever come across on
Oh,
in terms of
yeah,
game day approached. Um, just amazing. I learned so much from first watching him go about his business and then having him coach me at Worlds as well. Just learned so much. He's brilliant at that, and the fact that he's saved thousands of lives as an emergency doctor in his life. Like he's so well
yeah,
credentialed, and he goes, "Yeah, yeah. My number one achievement is I married Jennifer." I'm like,
yeah.
"Go
He,
for it."
he
I like
he's a
that.
great, yeah, he's a great guy. Um, for those that don't know him very well, he seems to be very humble. He's a little less humble with us that know him pretty well. You know what I mean? But he can be that
every
way. He can be that way.
every year at the Arnold he would do the raw challenge, the raw three lift, and I always remember him coming back in after his second bench because his opening bench still wasn't more than Jen's third bench, and he would walk back in and he'd have this strut going and go, "Yeah, still the biggest bencher in my family." So yeah, no
Oh my
humility at that
goodness.
point.
No,
But
none whatsoever. None whatsoever.
yeah,
But they make a good combination, and they've worked.
they do.
It's like it's another it's another example of that they have made strength sports their life. You know, um, and their boys did powerlifting as well, and they were very
Hmm.
successful. And that they've chosen to go in opposite directions of that. And they're still very supportive of that. And they're that's kind of this is our thing. The boys had their things. The parents have their thing. Neither one of my girls have chose to. They did powerlifting and stuff when they were in high school, and the youngest one did a little bit in college. But that wasn't that wasn't their thing. It was mom's thing, and they're very
Yeah.
supportive of it. And it's been
Uh, bless you, Scott.
yeah. They said, "Blake, bless you, baby." Oh, I didn't know if you could hear that or
Oh
not,
yeah.
but apparently you did.
Yeah. My girls never got into powerlifting at all. They lifted weights for a little while, and they both really enjoyed it. And my youngest, Gabrielle, she was great at it. She's so strong. And we put it down to her growing up around all these really strong women because I was coaching a lot when she was very little,
Hmm.
and so she's met all of these super cool ladies that lift world records. Like when Benika and I used to talk a lot on Skype, Gabrielle would talk to Benika as well, and here's Gabrielle now. She's leaving for school. See you, sweetie. Um, and so she would see people like Jen Thompson and Benika, and then all of these Australian women as well that were trained in my garage that were national record holders. And so the girls grew up just assuming that women were strong, that was just part of being a
Yeah,
woman was that you should be freakishly strong. So they've got this set point now for life that they believe that squatting a certain amount of weight is a birthright, not something that you should aspire to. You should just be able to do it if you're alive.
you should
And I
just be
love
able
that
to do
for
it.
them.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the same. My youngest is the same way. They're like, you don't bench this much. My mom does. Why? What are you messing
What's
around
wrong?
with?
Yeah. What's wrong with you? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's funny. We've normalized that kind of stuff for them, um, and that's okay because they know that you know if either one of my daughters ever wanted to come back to it, they know they can, and that's the good thing about string sports is doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to come back to it, you can, and there's a place for you. There's a welcoming place
yeah,
for you. As a matter of fact, that's the big part about it.
yeah. I love that. I haven't competed at all ever as a master. So obviously I had the strokes at the end of my 30s, and then at the end of my
Right.
40s now, and so I never competed as an M1. But now I start going back to worlds each year. I'm starting to look at like M2 and M3 and going, you know what, that's maybe more my speed. Maybe I could come back for that. And then it would be at a body
Hey.
weight that it's nothing like before, and in a
Yep.
age group that I don't really care about if I'm good anymore. I'm just out there doing it. So maybe.
Well, that's what I joke about with like strongman is like I finally aged up into numbers that I can handle. Strongman is just them open classes were just. I mean, there was no way I was keeping up with those women, and so I joke and say, yeah, I finally decided to give strongman a try after I finally just felt like I could finally handle the weights.
Nice. Hey, I do want to ask you about because you mentioned her at the start, and now you're quite good friends. Tell me about Jill Mills because she is a legend, and
Oh
she was
wow.
solo for such a long time. She was it, and now you see this explosion
She,
in female strongman, and
you know, it's so sad. I say it's sad. Jill has lived a life that has not been. You have to do your research to know who Jill is. Um, and I tr we try to get her to come out to our competition. She brings some of her ladies that she's still training, that she trains, and brings them to some of my competitions and stuff like that. I hold some competitions down in her area, and
mm-hmm.
it's personal choice that she is not as exposed, I guess you could say. That's her personal choice not to be that way. And
Yep.
it breaks my heart because there's a lot of these women that don't realize how awesome she truly, truly was in her day. And she could still be if
Oh
she
yeah.
wanted to. She's battling some ailments, from, age and doing things, early on in her career and stuff like that. But um, she comes to some of our events, and we just had a really big women's only event back in March that Frank Donahue, he he's it's called the Riveter, and he had over 60 just women. It was a women's only event, and she comes and it's I want more people to know who she is because she was such an influence for me, and she's such a wonderful person. And you see her at the Arnold every once in a while, and you'll see her come up and around our places here in Texas and things, and
Hmm.
but it just she chooses to keep a low profile. And she's got a son that's in high school that's doing powerlifting, so she's still got a toe in it, and
Uh-huh.
she still does things down in San Antonio. I think she does several classes for the San Antonio Fire Department and things like that, teaching them different techniques and things. And so she's still very much involved. She's just not at the doesn't wish to have that social media notoriety and stuff like that. So, which you got to respect that because a woman is she
Yeah,
is
I understand why you wouldn't want that. Yeah.
yeah. So I am it's I talk to especially the women that I'm still involved with, and I'm always asking who Jill Mills is, and they're like, some will say yeah, and some will be like no, and I'm like, please, 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 for the love of God, please go Google her, go Google her and see what she's done.
Oh God,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I'm always
she's
really
amazing.
impressed when somebody knows who when a female strongman competitor in Australia knows who Jill Mills is. I tend to stick around and talk
Oh yeah,
um, because if you know who she is, like you're going, oh yeah, she's legit. Um, in powerlifting
absolutely.
nowadays, it's Brad Gillingham is my barometer for whether I'll talk to someone or not.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It'll be a young male powerlifter, normally a super heavyweight, and they're going, yeah, I do this and this and this, and they'll start talking about deadlifting, and so if I hear about deadlifting straight away, I go, hey, so you ever hear of Brad Gillingham? And nowadays, and it makes me sad, these young guys just going, no, never heard. And so at that point, I go, if you don't know who Brad is, Google him. Once you Google him, come back and then we'll talk. But
Yeah, he's
I
still
think
hanging
some of
around.
these,
I saw him at the Arnold. He was judging the big show, the big strongman show, and so
oh, good,
he's still
good.
around. He's still contributing and everything, and uh, so I see him every once in a while at some of these big events and things like that, like the Rogue Invitational and the Giants Live and things like that. So he's still
Hmm.
out there.
And his brother Carl still is he still running the show for in America for Strongman or still involved in some way?
Um, yes, he was there as well, but I don't know what the actual involvement on that side of it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm looking at the time. We've been talking for an hour and a half now, and I want to be
yeah.
respectful of your time because you got a beautiful Texas summer evening to go and enjoy, and I've got some
Oh, honey,
cold, wet ass
yeah.
weather to enjoy over here.
Oh, no way, no way. Hey, do you know of a little Australian strong woman by the name of Valerie? She's like she come all the way from Australia and did one of my competitions over here last January, and she
Oh, did
did
she?
my yes. Gosh, what is her last name? I hate menopause. It takes everything away from me. Gosh, what's Valerie's last name? Little bitty, just little bitty woman, just a little bitty thing,
Yeah,
and
right.
she's 76, and she's still doing strongman. And I'll have to send you her name. So, I'm trying to
Oh
remember where
gosh,
she said
yeah. I
she
gotta.
lived at. Yeah, but she's
Wow,
incredible. She comes over
76,
to the
still doing
States.
strongman. That's cool.
hmm Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So I'll have to send you her name so you can look her up and try to. I can't remember which. I'm not familiar enough with the geography of Australia to tell you where she was at. It'll hit me later, but
Yeah,
of course.
I think if she was West Coast, I would have heard the name because we're pretty isolated over this side of the country, in a good way. Uh, so she's probably East Coast.
Yeah, I think she is. I think she is.
Yeah,
It's a name.
yeah.
It's
It's
a name.
with
It's
Australian. Yeah, with Australian geography here in Western Australia, we're a lot more like Texas. We're a bit more spread out, got a bit more land around us. We like to keep
Exactly.
Sydney and Melbourne a long way from us. Like you like to keep New York and LA a long way from Texas. We like to do the same with
Yes,
Sydney and Melbourne.
yes. I understand that. I understand that completely.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Alrighty, let's wrap it up there, and we'll put out. I'm going to put out a request. We either need Rebecca or Randy to do this next because Rebecca bullied you into doing this, so I think we should get at least one of them in here.
Yes, 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 yes. Randy, I don't know if you could get a straight answer out of Randy for anything. He'd love to do it, I'm sure. You know,
Oh man,
but
I
both of
figured
them.
we just tap Randy on the head and stories fall out anyway. So we just
Oh yeah,
I can
oh yeah, for
sit
real.
back for a couple of hours and just tell us some stories, Randy.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's so awesome, and Rebecca, she's so good. Just
Yeah, I love them. Just love
yeah,
them.
yeah, absolutely. They're like our best friends for sure.
Uh, with best friends like that, you're gonna have a good next 30 or 40 years, I think, traveling and lifting heavy shit together.
Definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Well, thank you for having
That's so good. I just clicked